everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. Now, apologies if you can already hear some background noise. I simply have to have the window open because it is so hot. I think there's like an eagle or like a bird of prey literally like screeching at the minute, so if you can hear that, I apologise. But I've been trying to record this video for the last couple of nights, but here in the UK we've had like a mini heat wave and it's literally been like 28 degrees where I am, and in the evenings it's just been so humid I have not wanted to, sort of sit in a room and record videos. So it's a little bit cooler today. It's like 23 degrees and I'm recording this Thursday, the day it's meant to go live. So I've just got to bite the bullet and do it, as my laptop is starting to have a fit as well. I should note I've literally made 0 notes for this video, so hopefully that leans into the kind of rambly nature of the video. But if it's a wee bit stop-start, then I apologise. But the first thing that I did, and I believe I did speak about it in the football-focused content, the Euros prediction video I put out a couple of weeks ago, I actually went to Germany for the Euros. So I flew to Cologne on the Friday of the start of the tournament, and I was there until early Wednesday morning. So we had a good 4 full days in Germany, and basically I went with my fiance's dad and a load of his mates, which I'd been to England games with them before, so wasn't too worried or whatever, and I've got a pretty good relationship with my fiance's dad, so and they follow England like everywhere. Like one of them, he goes to England games on his own if people are unavailable, and I think he went to like a Russia away game on his own once. Crazy, but most of them are kind of like retired, so they can do that, and I think it's bloody amazing. But yeah, essentially what we did was we stayed in Cologne the whole time, and I think initially the plan was to have Cologne as our base, spend a few days in Cologne, and even on the days we didn't have tickets for a game, we would travel to different cities. But what we found was there was just so much going on in Cologne, and it's such from my point of view, a really nice city, lots of nice bars and drinking spots, and there was the fan park and whatnot. We ended up just staying in Cologne for the whole time, to be honest, bar going to the game, which I will get on to. So we got there Friday. Most people were already out there, so we met up and explored kind of where we were staying. Now, we weren't staying in Cologne Centre, we were in a part of Cologne called Calk, C-A-L-K. And the hotel was like okay. I think we got a really cheap deal. It was fine. It had a bed and a shower. It did the job. We weren't really in it that much, so it didn't really matter all that much to me, it being like super swanky. But it was a really good location. It was around the corner from like a mall kind of thing, and then there was also, it was right next to the underground, which the transport I have to say the transport from the airport to Cologne itself was terrible. Like the trains just kept getting cancelled, but the underground is very good, I have to say. And there's also the what's there? I know it's sort of underground, but it's more like a tram system, and there was Uber and stuff. So yeah, once we sort of settled down in the hotel, we then decided to venture into Cologne. I think first though we kind of explored near where we were, very Turkish dominated area. There's a lot of barbers, kebab houses, and shops and things like that. There weren't too many places to drink, but we did find this little like German pub which had like 4 or 5 locals in there, and we went in there and had a few beers, and they were all super friendly. And that's one thing I'll say now: every like German resident or worker and whatnot like was just super friendly to us. And I know England fans sometimes get a bit of a reputation for being rowdy, but I can speak for me and my group, we're really not like that at all. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about the German people. So we had a few drinks in this funny little rundown German pub before catching some Ubers into the city, where we got out. Basically, is it the River Rhine or is it the Danube that runs through Cologne? I get them mixed up all the time. There's a bloody big river over that. We were on one side of the river, and then the main sort of centre with all the restaurants and bars was the other side. We got out our side, but like near the bridges, to have like a little walk along the embankment, and again just sort of explore and see what was around before heading over and sussing out where stuff was, and again just drinking. That's the thing. A lot of the time we just went bar to bar drinking. So we had some dinner, and most of us were pretty tired from the travelling and that, even though it's only literally a 1-hour flight. But airports in general, I think, are just relatively exhausting, to be honest. So I think we got an early night, and then Saturday was a big drinking day. Now I knew that the game I was going to was Sunday, and I knew I was flying home on Wednesday, so therefore that I didn't want to drink on the day of the game because I wanted to remember every bit of it, and then I wasn't going to drink on Tuesday because I had to get up at like 6 or something for the flight on Wednesday. So Saturday and Monday were like my designated go ham days, basically. And on the Saturday we went to the fan park for a few of the games. The fan park was quite small in Cologne, but it was nice, and the beer wasn't too overpriced, to be honest. And it was great. I think the game that was on might have been Switzerland, Hungary. Yeah, in the morning or the earlier one, and there were so many Swiss about. It was crazy. But again, everyone's super friendly and really good spirits. Literally witnessed no trouble up until the Sunday, but I'll get on to that. And yeah, and I think the night culminated in going to this Irish bar called the Copper Pot, which on Saturday night had a live guitarist and music, and that was just so much fun. And again, everyone just in really good spirits, and a lot of Guinness was consumed, let's put it that way. But it was borderline like being in Dublin, being in there, and then you step outside and it's like, oh, you're back in Germany. So that brings us on to Sunday, where we had tickets for the England's opener against Serbia up in Gelsenkirchen. Now, if you are from Gelsenkirchen, I apologise, but what an absolute dump. So the stadium is home to Schalke, who I think are now currently in Bundesliga 2, but it wasn't that long ago they were playing, Champions League football. I remember Huntelaar playing for them, and was it Van der Vaart maybe? But they're not doing so good now. Beautiful stadium, but the stadium is nowhere near the town. And the town is just so, there's literally, nothing there. So we arrived, we kind of knew this before, because we did a little bit of research. But when we turned up, we were told, yeah, there's literally, 3 pubs and a few bars. And they weren't lying. So everywhere was absolutely packed. And it was just Cologne was quite pretty, the architecture and stuff. Gelsenkirchen kind of just looked like Stevenage. No disrespect to Stevenage, but it's not the most aesthetically pleasing town in the UK. That's what Gelsenkirchen was like, essentially. So we get off the train in Gelsenkirchen. We decide we'll chance our arm at one of the in the centre, so we walk a little bit. We get to a bar, we get in the queue for drinks, and then they say we've run out of beer, which, you know, is always a fantastic sign before a football game. But anyways, many of you may have seen before that game on social media footage of Serbian/Albanians clashing with the English and bottles being thrown and chairs being thrown, things like that. So that was the only bit of trouble I saw, but basically, so we were in the queue for that bar, they said no beer, we turned around, and then it started kicking off like, I reckon like 30 metres up the street, but you could hear the bottles clanging. So we were kind of like watching tentatively and cautiously, but then as it kind of continued, we were like, because the riot police were like started swarming in, we were like, let's just go to the fan box. We left while that was sort of kicking off, which is a bit of a shame, because that is the only bad bit of, like, I don't know, actions done by England bands the whole time I was there, really. Obviously there's like teasing and banter with the songs and that, but nothing like physical or violent, but that kind of just, you never really know who started it, but at the end of the day it doesn't really matter. There's just no need for it, really, is there? But again, like, the few Serbian fans that we spoke to were nothing short of lovely, and it's so funny because there's this fear-mongering before we went out there, like, leading up that, like, Serbian ultras are going to infiltrate England fan groups and launch attacks, and it's just like, while I don't dispute that, you know, Eastern European ultras aren't to be fucked with, at the same time, if you keep your wits about you and you yourself aren't an idiot, like, you'll be absolutely fine. And we were. So we had a few drinks at this hotel, then we got the shuttle bus to the fan park. Fan park just full of English. Had a lovely pizza there, a few beers. But again, I didn't want to drink too much because, one, wanted to keep my wits about me, not because of the ultras or anything, but more just, you know, just like drunken English people as well, like, often pose problems. And so we had planned to leave like half an hour into the game that was before us. I think it was Denmark, Slovenia, and we did that, but it started absolutely chucking it down, so everyone then got the same idea, and we were in this mass like rush to get on the shuttle buses to Gelsenkirchen, to the stadium. And it was so poorly run, but thankfully we were sort of at the front of the crush, so we did get on the buses. I think for people who left literally 5 minutes after us, it would have been so much worse. But we eventually got on a bus, and the atmosphere was great. Like, we were singing the Heskey song, the Maradona song, like all the all the great English anthems, and everyone was just in, you know, really great spirits, despite being absolutely drenched. Because it was warm and so humid, a bit of rain was actually kind of nice, I can't lie. But anyways, we got to the stadium, and when I'd bought my ticket, I'd put in the like fan code of one of the guys going. So we were sat together, luckily, and we had great seats. I'll throw some pictures on screen where we were sat. We were right behind the corner flag. And yeah, I think we got into the ground at like 7, and I think because we'd walked so much, me and my friend just sat there, just sort of taking it in and enjoying the atmosphere, because we wanted to really like savour every moment. And then the game itself started off brilliantly, lovely Bellingham goal, and then it was kind of just like, let's just defend this. But in the end, it turns out that I've actually watched our only win of the group stages. But somehow we've topped it, which I think is less down to how good we are and more down to how average our group has been. I think it's the lowest scoring group out of all of them. Yeah, it wasn't great, but it was a really good atmosphere, I had to say. And then when the final whistle went, obviously everyone was very happy. Then getting home from Gelsenkirchen was hell, absolute hell. So I reckon in total, so the game finished sometimes that finishes at like roughly just before 11. I think we got home at like 3:30 or something. Like, it was ridiculous. The tram systems that they just hadn't. It's a 60k stadium, but they don't really have the. I guess when Schalke fans go to games, they'll drive, which helps. But you've got probably like 50,000 fans trying to get on trams and get taxis and stuff, and it was just an absolute bloody nightmare. But eventually we got the tram back, then we got a train, then we had to get off at the train at Dusseldorf and get the train from Dusseldorf to Cologne. But we got home in one piece, and with 3 points, so that was the main thing. So then on Monday, everyone obviously slept in till probably like midday, and then got drinking again. Ended up in the Copper Pot, I think, again that night. And yeah, and one thing I loved was around the corner from my hotel, there's literally no bars apart from this tiny little bar which was open till like 3 or 4 every morning. So when we decided to leave Cologne city centre, on the way back we'd go for a nightcap, a little lager in there before we went to bed, which was always nice. And it was like €1.50 for a bottle of beer or something. It wasn't like overpriced or anything, so it was great. And then I believe Tuesday we did a bit more sightseeing because we hadn't really done any sightseeing, so we went for some walks and stuff and had some good food and just chilled out really. Watched more footy, obviously. By that point it was packed with Scots because their game against Switzerland, I believe, was in Cologne, and the Swiss had already kind of taken over, so it was just absolutely rammed. But they were good fun as well. So yeah, that was sort of my Euros experience. Flew back on the Wednesday morning, and I'd booked off Wednesday, Thursday and Friday off work as well because of my next activity. So I actually became very unwell on the Thursday, and Friday morning I was literally like, I felt really fevery and just horrible. But on the Friday, after my partner finished work, I picked her up on the way and we bombed down to Portsmouth to catch the ferry over to the Isle of Wight for the Isle of Wight festival. Now, we went a few years ago, absolutely loved it, but for various reasons haven't been able to go. But we went, and the beautiful thing was my fiance's dad and his partner had already got there on the Thursday. We were camping, and they'd already set up our tent and everything, which, you know, I was massively indebted to them to just be able to turn up and dump your stuff. It was so good. So we got there on the Friday evening, thankfully in time to watch a little bit of the streets, but more importantly to watch The Prodigy, who I actually went and watched live when I was like 12 years old, and I've loved them for a very, very long time, and I was very excited to see them again, and they did not disappoint. They did not disappoint. They were amazing. And then really on the Saturday, there wasn't really anyone major that me and my fiance were that bothered about seeing, but really with Isle of Wight Festival, the music's important, yes, but you really just go for the vibes. Like, it's great food, great drink. I'd say it's a really good, like, family-friendly festival, like a good entry-level festival. Like, I did Greenfields last year, and it was kind of nice to do a bit more of a chill one this year, as much as I would do Greenfields again at the drop of a hat. But you know, there's kids, there's a lot of like older people who bring their camping chairs and sit further back at the main stage. Like, it's really chill, and everyone's in really good spirits. You never really see any bother or trouble or anything like that. So on the Saturday, I think, again, was just drinking. I'm not an alcoholic, but it was like 26 degrees, pure sunshine, so sun-creamed up, drinking brew dogs and whatnot. And yeah, who do we see on the Saturday? I saw Jessie J, which started off as like an ironic watch much for me, but she was actually pretty good live. She sounded really good. And our banger, S Club 7, which is now S Club 5. But it was actually kind of nice to go down a little bit of like a trip down memory lane, because it just took me back to like the school disco days, listening to some of their throwback songs. So they were good. And then who else did we go and watch? I can't even remember. I think we watched Loreen. Me and my partner are big Eurovision fans, and she won Eurovision, not this year but last year. And yeah, her music's actually pretty good. And I think we just flitted about, really. Oh, we watched Keane, who were like pretty depressing, but again, his voice was very good. Headliner wise, that night was the Pet Shop Boys, and we're not the biggest Pet Shop Boys fans, so we just found a tent which was playing like 80s and 90s dance music and just stayed in there basically. So yeah, and then on the Sunday, so we actually had to leave Sunday night because my partner can't get Monday off work. But that was like probably the day music wise there was more acts we wanted to see, so I think on that day we saw, it was first. So there was McFly. Now I'm a massive McFly fan, I'm not ashamed to say it. They were the first ever band that I watched in concert. I think I must have been like 10 or something. And I've liked them. I've never stopped liking them. It's like guilty pleasure music I'll go back to. But they unironically were incredible, and their new music sounds really good. Then we went and got food, and then there was Zara Larsson, who, not my cup of tea, but I knew a few of the songs because they're often in the charts, aren't they? And then Nothing But Thieves, who after Prodigy were the band I was most excited to see, and who my partner was most excited to see, and they were brilliant. We were like 4 rows from the front, I think, and right in the middle, in the thick of it, and it was good fun. It was good fun. And headlining that night was Green Day, but we didn't really have time to watch. We watched like 4 songs, and then we had to go and get the bus to the ferry port, and then get the last ferry home. But thankfully we'd allowed so much time, we actually caught a ferry an hour earlier and managed to get back a whole hour. So I think we ended up getting home at like 1:30, which wasn't too bad. I sometimes go to bed later than that on a work night, so. And then I luckily had Monday off, and I just did nothing. I think I caught up on House of the Dragon, which is amazing by the way, and caught up on The Boys as well, which equally I'm very, very much enjoying season 4. I think it's good. And that's that. That was my little adventure. So yeah, I think that was one of I didn't have time to talk about this, but I just had a notification, someone else sending it to me. There's this like TikTok where it's like a carousel post, and you swipe on the images, and the first one is like, a quote is like, oh, in the future we'll have flying cars and da-da-da-da-da, and then you swipe, and the first image is a screenshot of my channel and my video, The Life of Adolf Hitler, ASMR, and it's like, the idea is that we're quote unquote cooked as a generation because we don't have flying cars, but instead we have all these things. But honestly, it made me laugh so much. There were a few people commenting like that first one is wild, but like, I feel like it's very out of context. If you don't know what we do on the channel, I guess seeing the ASMR Life of Hitler probably is a little bit strange. But yeah, it came up on my brother's For You page, and he sent it to me. But I found it funny. But yeah, that is a little life update. Apologies for no video on Monday. I thought I'd be able to film during the day on my day off, but I was just out for the count. I didn't leave the sofa all day, so that's my bad for being lazy. And then it's just been too hot to record. But yeah, I think that is going to be it for this video. So if you did enjoy it, and you're able to, then please do give it a like, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. But until the next video, everybody,